Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Final Fantasy Brave Exodus video, and today we're going to be looking at the new second leader, Lasswell. So Lasswell is the second leader of the entire game so far, and he leads Ice and also anniversary units. So we'll be talking about that very shortly. His STMR is very good for himself, very balanced, because it's literally the most balanced thing I've seen in the game so far. 100 attack and magic, so there's no discrepancy or any kind of imbalance like his first Neo Vision form, where his STMR was a clothes or a robe or whatever it was, but it had way more magic on it than attack. And so there's no disparity there. It's the same TDH, same true wield, and for himself, 500 flat attack and magic. Very good. So, how do we look at this zero suit Lasswell? He has a leader skill, 300 attack and magic, 200% defense and spirit. Now, yeah, you're gonna look at the other guy who had 500 attack and magic and 100% defense and spirit. We don't really need the extra defense and spirit right now. Now, that might change with the 12-man trials, or the 12 weapon trials, 10-man trials, whatever you want to call them, where the boss may be hitting so hard that you may need that extra 100% over Deus. But I doubt that. I don't know if that's, I don't know why. He's a premium unit, by the way, so he's getting shafted in the leader skill. However, the unit itself is pretty interesting. So both sides, he has 600% cap universally, so he doesn't have to equip any kind of chain cap stuff, which is very good. 200% TDH, 150% LB damage. He has true dual, but I'm not mentioning it in the slide, but I guess I'm mentioning it now. He's 150% Ice Amp for himself. He has some buff removal, which I know is way useful for things like Clash of Wills and also for Dark Visions now, where bosses are actually buffing themselves and stuff like that. So the buff removal I thought was worth mentioning because it actually is useful. He has 100% all killers because he's a premium unit. In the base form, he has 180 times mod buff on a cooldown for his base LB. He has, in the LB, is 35% katana apparel. I think they learned their lesson from making Tidus's imperils too high. Remember, he has a 45% throwing weapon imperil in his Rave Shift form, so I think that they made a mistake on raising that too high too soon. So 35% katana imperil, and keep in mind, with 150% ice amp and also 35% katana imperil is much stronger than a 45% throwing weapon imperil, or if it was any kind of weapon imperil and a lower amp. So actually, he's still stronger in that regard. 130% ice imperil. Okay. And also 270 times ice physical damage, 24 hits. Now, there is a bad thing about ice units, is that we still don't have a 160% ice impaler, and we also don't have a very strong ice buffer. The only real good ice buffer with ice amps currently on JP is Celeste, and that's really sad. Hopefully someday there'll be an ice buffer that's good. I mean, eventually we were looking for a dark buffer, and eventually we got one in Komodo Dark Fina. So I don't know when they're assuming an ice unit, but whatever. In the Rave Shift form, he has ice and wind, ice and wind, various magic chaining. There's a whole lot to talk about, so I'm just gonna say various magic chaining. He also has the magic asterisk damage, but I'll be talking about that very soon. 160 times mod buff for his LB, and also he has a store buff, so actually he's going to be making up pretty strongly here, and we're going to be talking about his LB very quickly. He has triple and quad cast, and let's get on to the LB. 40% gun imperil, very good, and you know someone's going to love that. Someone's going to be loving that right there, guys. Very easy to use in his Rave Shift form LB. There's no SLB to worry about or anything like that. 103% ice imperil, once again, not that good, but it's okay. And 320 ice magic damage, so that's very good. He'll have over 400 times ice magic finisher. And of course, Regina's gonna love that 40% gun imperil because remember, she doesn't have her own imperil. But I think that they really they put Regina out. She's really powerful, but they don't give her the support she needs. She does not have any way of getting a higher amp than 45%. She doesn't have any way of getting a gun imperil until now, and there's not a huge ice imperiler. So, with that being said, I think that obviously you're going to be using Regina with this guy. I mean, there's just no way around it. This guy is perfect setup for Regina. You can use his Brave Shift LB on turns 1, 2, or 3, and then on turn 4, she'll get that huge ice nuke out with a 40% gun imperil, and that'll increase her damage substantially. Substantially. Anyways, let's talk about some of his cons. He literally is basically a hugely souped up version of the first New Vision Lasswell, where he's a physical DPS in the base form, and in the Brave Shift form he is a magic DPS. However, that's a very small con. That's just me complaining. I mean, it could have been more unique than this, but we'll be talking about why that's a good thing now. Here's a bad thing. At least on JP, on Global, there is Olive's STMR and things like that, but on JP, there aren't very many good magic guns that are two-handed. And his TMR is terrible, does not stack, and it's only one-handed. So why? I don't... Unless they plan on making Treadwheel good again, which apparently they said that they're doing. I don't know if that's true or not, but apparently they said that that is happening. But even if it is, his TMR does not stack on JP. I'm assuming that it will stack on Global, though, because of Dark Rain. We have that to work on. So with that being said, let's talk about how he is actually very good, even though he's basically a souped up version of New Vision Lasswell. Now, in Dark Vision, they changed the rules to where you have to use physical on physical stages and you have to use magic on magic stages, and this guy has magic and physical. He does have that magic asterisk damage, but you never really want to use that, and you can't use that. You can't use that on magic stages. So, the idea nowadays of saying, "Hey, this mage doesn't have imbues on him, is not very good," or it's going to go out the door because now you need pure magic and magic stages on Dark Visions. And when you look at the unit list on the wiki, there aren't very many pure magic units anymore. A lot of them are asterisk damage. So you really wouldn't want to use Regina on a physical stage because physical units are just easier to gear for, easier to use, and you'd be able to do more damage on a physical stage than Regina. Regina was so good because you could use her on a magic stage because there weren't very many magic units that are so powerful like that. But now that you can't really use her in that situation unless it's an ice stage, this guy will be very good because you can bring him to both and he's a leader. So on an ice stage for physical or magical, this guy is going to be essential. So that is going to be determining a lot of my score. You might be surprised on my score, guys. Even though his damage isn't really that high, it's pretty good because remember he has a store buff. But it's not insane, and the gun, a lack of a good gun, other than Roka's. So if you didn't pull for Roka, I tried to, didn't get her. But if you didn't pull for Roka, you're not going to have a very good gun for mages. But the score may surprise you or may not surprise you, based on what I've just said. Let's reveal it. 9 out of 10. I think that is very valuable. I think that all these kind of leaders are going to be very valuable for the 12 weapon trials that are going to be coming up very soon. Having a variety of elements to choose from, even though this one's not as good as offensively, it's not as good. I personally wish that there was something added onto this, like maybe 200% HP, or at least 100% HP on top of this. Instead of, I mean, there's a 200% lack of attack and magic on his leader skill compared to the previous one. So I think that there should have been an addition of maybe some mitigation that's not tied to the mitigation that you do as a buff. So like permanent 15%, like something not that strong, but it's something pretty good. Like 15% physical and magical mitigation permanently, so that's not tied to, say for example, if you used a 70% physical mitigation buff, now you would have 85% physical mitigation, you know, something like that. So it could have been something kind of weak, 15% mitigation, and then you would be able to have even more on top of that. I mean, that could have been pretty decent, but oh well. Yeah, 9 out of 10 for him. And I've got to put this back on because, and also adjust it because the next slide is kind of awkward. So let's get into the next slide. So Rain and Fina did get some crowns and also some secret buffs. And when I say by secret buffs is what they just get changed. They get buffed. Similar to how Global buffed up a lot of those fan units, where they kind of just got upgrades for free. So the rest team got no upgrades. I just wanted to mention that. Sadly, there's no upgrades for that. Currently, as of this video, they might still make something that allows you to craft something, maybe for the next event or something, I don't know, but probably not. So they now have 500% cap. You no longer have to. You no longer need 200% chain cap on them. You only need 100. 2,500 flat attack. That may seem pretty high, but keep in mind their attack was not that good, even at EX3. But they do get the LB fill. They do get the 500 flat attack now, so that's pretty good at EX3. And most people that have been playing for years should have them at EX3 at this point. Even on all of my accounts, I can get them all to EX3, and even on the ones that weren't whale accounts, can get them to EX3. So yeah, the LB is now 30 hit. I mean, it was already 30 hit, but I just mentioned that anyways. 300 times mod, fire physical damage, and the ability mods are increased from a low amount to also now including 50 times and 60 times mods. I still don't think that's that high because their ability chaining is not that good anyways. So honestly, I feel like this should have been way higher, like 300 times or 400 times mod chaining, because honestly it's not that good. So honestly, I still feel like that's a little too low. But fear not, they do have for 3 turns, and I think it's a 4-turn cooldown, I believe, a 70 times mod buff on for their LB on a cooldown, like I mentioned. So it's pretty good. Some downsides here: the Brave Shift form is literally the same, except for maybe a chain cap increase and some other smaller additions, but they didn't really do anything. They basically did nothing. And their attack, like I mentioned, may be a little low because there's no flat attack for them at all besides that upgrade, that crown upgrade. Their STMR still has this not very high attack, and I don't know, just not, their STMR is just not very good, but you have to use it. Otherwise, you have to use their TMR, and their TMR is really bad. Their TMR is really bad, so yeah. Another downside that I kind of forgot. There was a downside, but I kind of, oh yeah, all their amps and stuff are still the same low amps. So you're gonna need some kind of fire support. Still FTF is fine. They still have the 150% Beast Killer, which I'm going to be using them. I'm going to be using this unit along with some other units in a fire team very soon for a showcase video, so stay tuned for that. And of course, their total mod is 470 times. You could do even more with Tyvus STMR, but I don't know if Tyvus STMR is even worth it anymore. It seems a little too slow because of Tidus STMR's turn limit. You're wasting a turn using Tyvus STMR when you could be LBing. So honestly, I don't know if it's even worth it. That's gonna take some math and some testing to see if it's even worth using anymore. But with that being said, let's go ahead and reveal the score. And keep in mind, this is just an upgrade. This is not, everything. 7.5. I think it's fine. Eventually, there might be a 2-handed greatsword, dark vision weapon, which you may just use instead. Because honestly, I believe that their teamer reward is not even really that valuable. It's just, I think it's just some guts. So you may not even need their teamer reward at all. So you may actually be able to just get away with eventually being able to equip the dark vision 2-handed greatsword whenever that happens. So with that being said, 7.5 out of 10. They're very strong now. 300 times base, 470 times for 5 turns with Tidus STMR. Very powerful. Remember guys, this is a tag chain, so you could just use one of them and have a finisher to equate with that. I'm going to be showing you guys that in a video up soon. So with that being said guys, thank you guys very much for watching. Appreciate you, and I hope to see you in the very next video. Peace.